So Cain Velasquez has been arrested under the suspicion of attempted murder. Let's talk about it. Before we do, my name's Rahul J. Chan. This is The Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. Before I kind of talk about this, I just have to say this is possibly one of the most shocking and surprising stories that I've seen emerge over the last 6 months or so. And as more and more details come out, it feels to me that this is quite a sad and tragic situation, right? So before I give my opinion, let's just talk about the facts that we know are definitely facts as of this moment, as of me recording this video. So details came out yesterday that Cain Velasquez had been arrested without bail because it's alleged that he was involved in a shooting. As time progressed, stories in the press started to emerge, and it's alleged that Cain Velasquez shot at a vehicle, and in that vehicle there were three passengers, the driver and 2 passengers, 3 people. And the motive for this attempted murder is because one of Cain Velasquez's relatives, who is under the age of 14, I believe. It's alleged that one of the people within that vehicle got arrested last week for molesting Cain Velasquez's relative. And what they're saying is that has happened over 100 times. So as things stand, as is what's being reported in the media, it seems as though this was a retaliation from Cain Velasquez. Now, Cain Velasquez managed to hit a person in the car with one of his shots, if he was the one carrying out this shooting. It happened to be the stepfather of the guy who allegedly has been molesting Cain Velasquez's relative. Now, before I talk about Cain Velasquez, I just want to talk about details emerging around this, right? Because we don't know, and I might be wrong here, right? But for me personally, I don't know for certain if these details are correct, right? Because the article that I was reading, the article that I saw is a website, or it might be a newspaper called mercurynews.com, and I've never heard of Mercury News before. And the only reason I've seen this is because Ariel Helwani tweeted it. But prior to Mercury News publishing this article, the first time I saw anyone discuss this arrest, or the circumstances around this arrest, is from a tweet from an account called Fight Oracle. And I believe Fight Oracle was formerly known as Front Row Brian, but I might be wrong. And he tweeted 23 hours ago saying, "Re Cain Velasquez, the talk going around is Cain chased down 2 men riding in a vehicle. One of them is accused of abuse of one of Cain's children at daycare. The other person involved is the father of the alleged abuser. Cain shot the father of the alleged abuser. I'm told Cain fired at least 3 times. I don't know if he got the 2 men confused. I don't know if all shots were fired at the same person or at both and only one landed." Now, I think I did forget to mention this. So the relative is someone that goes to daycare, and the guy that's been charged lives in the same property in which this daycare is run from, right? So there's that. Now, Fight Oracle's an account that I follow. He's clearly a very intelligent man, and he clearly has relationships within the sport, right? I think he even does a podcast with Ben Askren. So I'm not saying that this information he put out there is to be questioned, but what I am saying is I do question some of the details he includes in some of his tweets and posts on Instagram. He's a very opinionated individual who has very strong political views, and he is very rarely someone that is even killed in sharing an opinion. And I've seen, and I can't think of examples, but I've seen times where he's tweeted things that are just factually incorrect. And I'm not talking politics, I'm just talking about MMA or boxing, especially UK boxers. Like he's a big Tyson Fury fan, right? So I've seen him tweet things that are just incorrect. But the reason why I'm saying all of this is the first person that I personally saw disclose this information, that there's a motive, and this is the motive behind why Cain was shooting at people, right? And Mercury News, like I say, it's a publication I've never heard of. They say sources. They've got their own sources, right? And I don't know whether they've just seen these tweets and published an article, because that's what happens nowadays. Let's face it, right? And now a lot of mainstream organizations have picked this story up and published this story. But I don't know for certain this information is true. However, given the fact that Ariel Helwani tweeted the story as well, and he's the one that tweeted the article from Mercury News, I don't feel as though he would have done that as an FYI to us, that this might be like a speculative piece of information. I feel as though it's probably he's verified this as a legitimate motive, and that's why he shared that article. Aside from that, a load of ex and present MMA fighters and teammates, ex-teammates, current teammates of Cain Velasquez have come out in support of Cain Velasquez. Why is my TV doing that? Oh, God. All right, if it turns off, it turns off. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are currently. Now, my opinion on all of this. A couple of things. Firstly, when the news broke, right, the reason why I started this video saying I was shocked and surprised is because Cain Velasquez is genuinely a guy, from what I've seen of him recently in his media engagements, interviews with Ariel Helwani, etc. In fact, he did an interview when he started doing pro wrestling. Please bear with me for 1 second, because that's really annoying me. Let me just sort that out. I back, guys. I back. Yeah, so as I was saying, the reason why I was surprised is because since Cain Velasquez has retired from MMA and he's transitioned over to pro wrestling, in the media engagements that I've seen him in interviews with Ariel Helwani, he actually genuinely seems as though he is someone that is happy, content, comfortable with his achievements in the sport. He's someone that feels as though he is very what's the right way of saying this? He thinks very logically about his injuries and his physical limitations in terms of competing at the highest level. And it feels as though he's just happy with his accomplishments, and he's happy in retirement. In fact, I actually made a video, and I'll link it. This was a while back, where I made a video talking about Cain Velasquez, because he came on Ariel Helwani show, and I think this might have been when Ariel Helwani was on ESPN, where he was wearing his lucha libre mask. Throughout the video, throughout the interview, where he was discussing his, transition into pro wrestling, and that was the happiest and most charismatic Cain Velasquez that I've ever seen. Right, I've never seen him be so animated throughout his MMA career. Right, so he didn't strike me. The reason why I'm saying all this, he didn't strike me as a guy that is suffering from, CTE issues or depression or mental health issues. But you never know what's going on in someone's life, right? You just never know. But my perception of him is someone that, it didn't feel as though he was a guy that was in that spot in life, to me personally. And obviously I don't know him, but it's just a perception that I have of Cain Velasquez. That aside, a lot of people have spoken about his mugshot and said, oh, this is a man that looks as though he doesn't have remorse, or he's not sad, or he's not upset. And to that, I mean, I can understand why people are doing that, because they're just making assessments off the little bits of information that we're being drip fed. And I'm doing the same thing in this video. But to that, the only thing that I will say is, I've never seen Cain Velasquez be overly kind of expressive in his face, in victory, in loss. He just seems like a guy that it's something that he was accused of difficult sales. He was a guy that found it difficult to sell a fight because he just wasn't very charismatic in front of the camera. And part of that was just the fact that he just didn't show a lot of emotion, right? So the fact that his mugshot, which is literally a snapshot of a split second in time, right? I don't know whether we can read too much into that. The only thing that we can read into it is it's fucking Cain Velasquez. Do you know what I mean? That's definitely him. With all that being said, the same way Cain Velasquez is innocent until proven guilty, so is this other dude. This other dude who he shot at, who apparently, if it's true, if this is actually true, who apparently molested Cain Velasquez's relative over 100 times. Now, my own hunch, my own opinion is that the fact that someone has been, I believe that someone has been arrested for molesting Cain Velasquez's relative. I believe that's what led Cain Velasquez to do what he allegedly done, right, with the shooting, because of the reasons I've just explained. I don't feel as though he's a guy that would get involved in a road rage incident and lose his rag and shoot at someone. I was talking to my mate James about this earlier, because this is when it just emerged that he'd been arrested before any details were out. I said, what if he's like part of like a Breaking Bad style gang undercover? And obviously he's not, and I'm not accusing him of being it, but I don't believe he's even gone down that road. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he's an upstanding member of society, and this is what a lot of his teammates and people that know him have come out and said, that this guy's a leader, he's a captain, he's a kind, gentle man, this, that, and the other. And you can imagine something like this leading him to react the way in which he has, if he has indeed shot at this car, right? But yeah, he's reacted in a way that I know a lot of people would say is entirely justifiable, right? And I'd have to put myself in that same category. Now, personally speaking, I don't know if I'd have the nerve to actually carry out a physical act like that. But when you're a man that made a living fighting in a cage and was widely known as, who is widely known as one of the best that's ever done it in the heavyweight division, you go to a different depth internally to get to that position, and maybe that's the same feelings he's tapped into to carry out this this shooting, if it is him that has done that, right? Because we have to be careful. I don't want to say anything that'll get me in trouble, and I don't want to say anything that is incorrect. But it's a sad situation, and I hope it resolves. And I started off by saying it's sad and tragic, right? Because if Cain Velasquez is a man that has to go to prison for this, and if it comes out that the guy is guilty of doing the disgusting acts that he's been accused of, then this relative is going to be without Cain Velasquez, who's going to be in prison for a number of years. And that's a difficult pill to swallow, considering the circumstances, in my humble opinion. But what do I know, eh? What do I know? Anyway, those are my opinions on Cain Velasquez. I'm going to keep on top of this one, and as more details emerge, I'll continue to make more videos about it. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button. Share this video with a friend if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please feel free to comment on anything that I've said, and feel free to just give your own opinion if it's something that I haven't thought of or discussed or mentioned. Feel free. Try and keep the language clean though, because I've noticed sometimes I'll get a notification that someone's posted a comment and I'll go and look at it, but YouTube's deleted it, because I think I'm just assuming because people just swear in comments. It's not me deleting. I don't delete comments, so that's just the FYI. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time.